If you have a dog and you love it, don't bring it to Taiwan. It's not worth it. You have to sign a form, like a waiver. So if your dog, so if something happens to your dog gets sick or dies during the stay in the quarantine, hi everyone, this is Ada. Many YouTubers talk about how Taiwan is such a beautiful place, a paradise, and there's good food, nice people, the nightlife, the beaches, lots of history and culture to explore, hiking, nature, and all that is true. But there is a dark side to Taiwan. And I found that out on my most recent visit to Taiwan. Now, what happened? Well, we had to go back to Taiwan. I hadn't been in Taiwan for about 15 years. Before I lived there for about 12 years. And because of a family matter, we had to go back and we had to stay there for several months. So what did we do with our two dogs? Because we have two very cute dogs. This is Sunny, 5 years old. This is Sky, 2.5. Two very cute and friendly Labradoodles, my two boys, and we decided to take them with us to Taiwan because, as you can see from all the YouTube videos, the people there love dogs. They buy cute clothes for them. They have nice snacks there, toys, the works, and giant pet stores where you can buy lots of things, usually imported from Japan. So we thought, okay, this would be a nice place for us and also the dogs. Parks to take them for a stroll, you can take them out into nature, go on hikes. Nice. Getting to Taiwan with the dogs wasn't that difficult. You just have to fill in the paperwork, do the blood work, so they have to get a rabies shot, you have to wait for a few months, and then if they have enough antibodies, they can go on the flight. Now, when your animals, your cats or your dogs first arrive in Taiwan, they have to go into quarantine for 7 days. During those 7 days, you can visit them one time. So when we visited them at the quarantine station, I was shocked. It was just a ramshackle place. It looked like something that was bombed during the Second World War. And the people working there were not really friendly. It seemed like they really hated their jobs being around these animals. And I started to feel really guilty about taking our dogs with us on the trip. Like, should I have known better, or was I being selfish? Or I was really, really sad to see them in that state, but I couldn't do anything because they had to stay there for another 4 days, I think. We went on the third day. And they're the nicest dogs. They don't attack people. They're just friendly and sometimes over friendly, over enthusiastic, and they tend to show that. But the people there don't like that. But more about that later. So at the quarantine place, we could give them a bath, which they really needed, and it really smelled like they had been rolling around in their own feces or in their own piss. It was awful. Like I was thinking, do they really look after these animals, or what do they do? And we brought some snacks, and it looked like they hadn't been fed in days, which also might be true. I don't know. I don't have any proof. But from the way they reacted, yeah, I would assume so. And also, when we went to pick them up on the last day of the quarantine, Sonny had a scar on the top of his head, which wasn't there before. So I can only imagine what happened there. Also, I found out that, like, they had changed. Like it really was a nightmare experience for them. But I thought, okay, they've left this place now. Okay, now we can enjoy the paradise that Taiwan is. We had to find a place to live, which is found out it's not easy if you have dogs. But we found one anyway. The landlord was pretty accommodating and stayed there with our pets as long as they didn't break anything. And if they were to break anything, of course, they had to compensate him for that. That's obvious. So, and on our first walk, I already got the shock of my life because I was walking there with my dogs and somebody just walked right past our dogs from behind, which to me is something that you shouldn't do. If you see us, even I don't do that. If I see a dog or a dog owner with an owner that I don't know, I don't walk that close up to them. I keep a little distance, but he didn't. And especially the younger one, Sky, he can be a bit reactive. So he started barking at that guy, and that guy swore at me, and he said, "You watch out." And he was being very aggressive and very threatening. So that was my first evening walking the dogs. And that set the tone for the rest of our stay there, because every time that we took them out, for instance, I was stopping at a red light and wait for the light to turn green, and other people came up to the light, stand next to me, see our dogs, and go, "Oh, yo!" As I looked at them, it's like, "What's up? What are your dogs?" I said, "Yeah, they're dogs. They're not monsters. They're not demons." "Yeah, but I'm scared of dogs." So like, why tell me? Why give me this information? Like, what do I have to do with this information now? I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, disappear from here, or just keep it to yourself? If you're afraid of dogs, just keep your distance, or don't look at my dogs, because that's another thing that they do. They stare my dogs and other dogs right in the eyes. Humans are also like that. If you stare people in the eyes, like, other people can become very aggressive. Dogs also react to that. And they don't understand it. So like, "Why is your dog barking at me?" It's like, "Stop looking at him then. Don't look him in the eyes." And they just keep on looking and just stand there. And I just say, "Keep on walking," and he won't bark anymore. And they tell my dogs things like, "I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill your dogs." Another guy said, how dare you walk the dogs in your street? Your dogs shouldn't be allowed to walk outside," when all he did was bark at the guy. I mean, I'm used to, like, here, when people in my own home country, when dogs do that, people just ignore it, or they look at it and they laugh and just say like, "Okay, what are you barking at?" Or it's like, "You want to talk to me?" Or I mean, like a normal person would react. But the people there don't do that. Now, we did meet a group of very nice people with dogs, and at the park, and every evening we would meet, and they would give us some tips about how to deal with the people, because they also knew the people that came there. And there were like some old guy, not only one, but an old guy with a cane, and he was known for hitting dogs, just walking up to people and making the dogs very aggressive, and then dogs would bark at him or lunge at him, and then he would like smack the dogs with his cane, like for sport. I don't know what's wrong with these people, but I've never experienced anything like that before I went to Taiwan this time with my dogs, because the first time I was in Taiwan, I didn't have any dogs. We had 2 cats, but they stayed at home all day. They never went out. It was a harrowing experience, to say the least, and I was very disappointed. But I got a lot of help and support from other dog lovers. There was a dog park in a neighborhood where people we made friends with drove us to the dog park with their dog, and we could let them play together there. They would go off the leash, which was a relief for them, for us as well, so they could have some time to play. But honestly, like walking around in the park outside, and you get very nasty reactions. And not only because my dogs are big, black, beautiful dogs, also people who have smaller dogs, like small white pugs, they also get the same reactions, as people just tell them to move, or are scared. And I really don't understand that. And that's why I'm telling you, Taiwan has a dark side, and especially when it comes to dogs. Don't bring your dog to Taiwan. Don't do it. If you have a dog and you love it, don't bring it to Taiwan. It's not worth it, really. Stay in your own home country, go to another country, or, if you really have to go, just leave your dog with someone you trust and then go to Taiwan. Because for the dogs, honestly, it's awful. It really is. I can't stress that enough. Because people have no idea how to deal with dogs. You don't go jogging and run right past a strange dog and then get upset if the dog reacts to it. I mean, not all dogs do it, but there is a possibility. So just keep your distance, which they don't. So that's what I wanted to say to you as a warning. Don't do it. Also, at the quarantine place, I forgot to mention that you have to sign a form, like a waiver. So if your dog, if something happens to your dog gets sick or dies during the stay in the quarantine area has no responsibility whatsoever. So keep that in mind. Later, I read online a story also a Westerner who brought his dog to Taiwan, and the dog almost died. And they didn't call him, didn't call the hospital or whatever. He found out when he went to pick up the dog. So the dog almost died, which is just horrible. So don't do that. And look at these cute guys. I mean, they wouldn't hurt a fly. Really, they would chase a fly, but they wouldn't hurt it. So that's it for me. But don't be discouraged. Still, you can go to Taiwan. Taiwan is a great place, really. A great place to study Chinese. So that's going to be in my next video about why Taiwan is the best place to learn Chinese. But it has good food, it has friendly people, but just not friendly to dogs. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, 继续加油。